Right, welcome to this explainer. Today, we are diving straight into the ultimate control center of your life. We're going to explore a really powerful concept: how to shift from being just a passive victim of your biology to becoming the active, intentional programmer of your own brain. If you've ever felt stuck, unmotivated, or just totally overwhelmed by your emotions, the insights we've pulled from today's sources are absolutely going to be a game changer for you.
So here's the roadmap, basically the owner's manual for your brain. We'll start with the human brain's operating system, then decoding your brain waves, the ultimate morning routine, discovering your sleep chronotype, and we'll wrap up with hacking emotions and breakups. Let's get into it. But before we get into the mechanics, let me throw a huge statistic at you straight from the research. Why do 95% of people procrastinate? I mean, 95%. Almost every single one of us puts things off, struggles with motivation, and fights this constant uphill battle to get the tough stuff done. So, what's really going on? Well, the answer is actually incredibly liberating. It's because the human brain is fundamentally lazy. It's basically a biological couch potato. Failing to hit your goals isn't necessarily because you lack willpower or discipline. Usually, it's just a lack of understanding of how our biological machine actually operates. Your brain's absolute default setting is to conserve energy and just stay exactly where it is. Okay, Section 1, the human brain's operating system. Let's look at the hardware. We essentially have three distinct layers inside our skull. Down at the base, the brainstem runs those automatic background programs, your breathing and your heartbeat. Then sitting above that, we have the limbic system, our ancient reptilian brain. This acts as a constant threat scanner and emotional center. But the real magic, that happens in the final layer, the prefrontal cortex. Just to put that into perspective, a rat's cortex is about 7% of its brain. A chimpanzee's is about 11%. But ours, it occupies a massive 40%. True peak performance happens when we learn to master that 40%. Look at the stark contrast here between living in reactionary fear versus living in intentional command. When you let your limbic system run the show, you're totally trapped in the 4 F's: fight, flight, fear, and freeze. You take everything personally, and stress just completely rules your life. But when you actively engage that prefrontal cortex, you unlock the 4 C's: control, commitment, choices, and command. You literally turn knee-jerk reactions into calculated responses. Moving on to Section 2, decoding your brainwaves. Let's talk about the electrical currents. Throughout the day, your brain actually transitions through different frequencies. When you're in deep sleep, you're hanging out in slow delta waves. As you start waking up, you enter theta, which is a highly creative and suggestible state. Then, a calm, focused morning routine pushes you right into alpha. And finally, when you're at work tackling problems, you're in those fast-paced beta waves. The big problem with modern life, though, we aggressively skip those crucial middle phases. So here's the absolute key takeaway. If you can hack these two middle states, alpha and theta, you can literally program your day. In these specific states, your subconscious is just wide open. It's where visualization and neuroplasticity hit their absolute peak. If you capture this specific window of time, you can wire your brain for success before the stress of the outside world even has a chance to reach you. Which brings us perfectly to Section 3, the ultimate morning routine, your system boot up. Think about what most people do every single morning. They wake up to this blaring alarm and immediately grab their phone to check notifications, right? Jolting from delta sleep directly into high-stress beta waves is literally like shifting a car from neutral straight into fifth gear. It completely crashes the system. It spikes your heart rate and your blood pressure, leaving you anxious and reactive for the rest of the day. To fix this, peak performers consciously transition through their brainwaves using a highly efficient protocol from the sources called the movers routine. And it's surprisingly simple, just 5 minutes each. Meditation to build those alpha waves, oxygenation or breathwork, visualization to prime your neural circuits, exercise to get the blood flowing, reading something affirmative, and scribing or journaling to release any lingering negativity. Carving out just 30 minutes for this ensures you own your brain before the world does. And timing actually matters a lot here. The research points to the ancient scientific wisdom of waking up roughly 45 to 90 minutes before sunrise. Getting that early morning sunlight directly activates the suprachiasmatic nucleus in your brain. This naturally kickstarts your circadian rhythm and floods your system with peak endorphins. So honestly, you don't even need that harsh cup of caffeine. All right, Section 4, discover your sleep chronotype. Time for system calibration. Science actually categorizes us into 4 main sleep chronotypes. Take a look. Which one are you?
Are you a lion, an early riser who peaks before 8 a.m.? Or maybe a bear, a slow starter whose energy peaks right around midday? Or perhaps you're a wolf, a late bloomer getting your best ideas near midnight? Or even a dolphin with those unpredictable, irregular bursts of energy? Aligning your heavy cognitive lifting with these natural biological peaks is absolutely essential. I love this quote from the source material. Your brain is a Ferrari. You can't feed it kerosene and expect it to win the race. Understanding your specific chronotype and crafting a routine that actually respects it, that is the premium fuel your mind requires to perform at a world-class level. Let's dive into our final section, Section 5, Hacking Emotions and Breakups, the troubleshooting phase. When you're going through emotional distress, getting stuck in a negative emotional loop, like ruminating on a breakup, past trauma, or just fear, literally consumes up to 90% of your mental RAM. 90%! The limbic system completely hijacks your processing power, leaving you with almost nothing for present focus, future planning, or, actually achieving your goals. And when it comes to relationship loss, evolutionary conditioning often dictates completely different biological timelines for men and women. According to the research, the female brain is wired to produce oxytocin and serotonin early on, pre-anticipating deep bonding, which means emotional loss is typically processed really heavily right up front. The male brain, on the other hand, evolutionarily conditioned as monofocused hunters producing primarily testosterone, often delays processing this loss. So they might seem totally fine initially, but the biological FOMO and emotional processing often kick in months later. But regardless of gender, when you find yourself stuck in that limbic loop, you need a manual override. Enter the ABC protocol. Step 1 is awareness, just simply auditing your emotional reactions without any judgment. Step 2 is breathing, using intentional breathwork as a literal physical bridge to slow down a racing mind. And step 3 is commitment, executing daily brain habits to forcefully transition control away from the emotional amygdala and right back to your logical prefrontal cortex. Part of that commitment involves neurobics. Think of this as cross-training for your brain to build brand new, highly resilient neural pathways. This includes grounding, like walking barefoot on grass, or tritaka, which is candle gazing to intensely build up your beta focus. It also means disrupting your daily monotony with fun multisensory challenges. Brush your teeth with your non-dominant hand, take a completely new physical route to work, or just shift the layout of your desk around. Monotony literally kills the brain. Novel challenges make it thrive. Ultimately, the science of neuroplasticity proves that we are definitely not hardwired by our past or our genetics. As the sources remind us, don't just rewire your brain, rewire your reality. Your brain is so incredibly adaptable, and by actively engaging that prefrontal cortex, you really can shift the trajectory of your entire life. So I want to leave you with this provocative question to chew on. Which of your daily habits are you going to change today to build your prefrontal cortex? Are you going to try the movers routine tomorrow morning? Maybe brush your teeth with your left hand tonight? Take control of your biological hardware, run the right software, and watch your reality transform. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you in the next one.